It's just an email. It won't hurt me. They're just words on a computer. I tried my best to convince myself. I have been scared to death of chain letters for my entire life. I have always forwarded them, but now I'm getting too old to believe in such silly things. I moved my cursor to delete, but no, I couldn't delete it. I couldn't keep it in my box either. I started having terrible anxiety attacks. I had to send it. I had to. I opened my contacts and sent it to 12 people just like it asked. The next day at school, I approached my friend about the email I sent him. "Did you forward the chain letter?" I asked anxiously. In answer, he procured his phone from his pocket and showed me the email I had sent him. I could see that it hadn't been forwarded. Before, I had not read the whole thing. I didn't want to give myself nightmares, but now I felt safe. Here's the letter.
Hello, my name is Gregory. I love to play with chains. Then, my daddy beat me to death with one. He drank a lot of beer, and now he's dead too. I killed him. Don't hurt my chains. Send this to 12 of your favorite people. But hurry, I'll be back on Sunday. Love, Gregory.
The letter was unusual for a chain letter. It wasn't particularly descriptive. It didn't feel as threatening as some of the other chain mail I've gotten before, but it scared me because my name is Gregory, and my dad died when I was younger. I was very worried for my friend. What if he died? What I had done? I didn't personally know all the people I sent the message to. I didn't care. I wanted them all anyway. All of them laughed at me. I ended up crying and running home. They could die and it would all be my fault. My fault. All those poor people. They will all die because of that stupid letter. I couldn't sleep at all last night. I was thinking of all the terrible ways this psycho could murder them. I asked my friend to stay overnight tomorrow. I know we're getting kind of old for it, but I don't want him to die. Maybe the killer will get confused when he isn't there. Maybe the killer will get confused when he isn't there. Yes, that's it. What about the other people? Some of them are my friends, and I didn't want them to die. I think my mom would be worried if I invited the whole neighborhood to spend the night. I can't save them. I feel terrible, but it's better to save one than none at all. My friend is coming over at about 4 p.m., so I prepared myself. I don't want to be defenseless if the killer comes. I took a knife from the kitchen block and hid it under my pillow. After he came, we were running around outside, and then I suddenly tripped on something. A chain. It was old and rusted like it had been there for a long time, but I had never seen it before. The coincidence terrified me. I'm writing this from home now. I wouldn't believe this if I hadn't seen it for myself. We were settling down around 11:30. We were dead quiet. I was staring at the clock, watching the minutes slowly go by. It was so quiet we could hear each other's breath. Well, he could hear mine, at least. I was so nervous. We just sat there, consumed by the silence of the darkness. The clock at last hit 12. A wave of relief flushed over me as the clock turned to 12:01. The door to my room flew open and a large shadow stood in the doorway. A large man grabbed me and chained me to the chair in the corner of the room. What happened next I remember in vivid detail. I watched as he pinned my friend to the ground. He ripped open his gut and pulled out the entrails. He cut off all his limbs and finally his head. He used the knife to bore a hole through my friend's torso, and then the man fed a length of chain through it. The chain was then locked together and padlocked, and I watched as he casually exited the room with the torso, returning empty-handed. He picked me up and placed me in the back of the truck. Tied to the end of the truck was the chain torso. The man then drove around our town, mutilating, murdering, and chaining the torsos of 11 other people I had sent the letter. I was forced to watch all of it, driving along the road. The bodies looked like a chain of fucked up wedding bells. After he was done, he put the knife in my hands and left without the truck. I drove back home. The police were there. My mother had called them. Now they say they're gonna ask me a few questions. But no, I think they arrested me. Why? I didn't do any of this. I couldn't do anything to save them. The writing trails off as a line. Police report. Suspect denies any involvement in the murders. Forensic evidence and eyewitness accounts provide strong evidence that he is guilty of all 12 murders. The murders were committed in the early hours of December 5th. The suspect's mother has given up his journal to prove his mental instability. Looking into the journal reveals he believes he was chained up while the murders were committed. Eyewitnesses saw no such thing and no chains were ever found. A mental evaluation will follow the hearing.